Wow. Good evening. Welcome to Eight Questions with. I'm your host, Patrick. I'm Eight Questions with. Have Cheetah will view. And tonight we will be talking to a fellow podcaster, our good friend Stephen Pflug. I'm probably crushing his name. He'll be here with us tonight. Um, he's a fellow, like I said, he runs a fellow show, um, a House of Horrors. He created that and co-hosts it with Miss Boomstick every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on his YouTube channel. And I thought it'd be an interesting interview because a lot of times podcasters who do interview shows rarely ever get the spotlight turned on them. Most of the time, they're the ones asking the questions, and so I thought we turn it around and ask Steven a few questions. Um, I've known him for about a year now, and he really is one of the nicest guys in the horror community for sure. He works his ass off on his show. He gets out there and he promotes very hard. He's got some outstanding guests. Hey, Casey. Uh, Casey's got questions for you, Steven. That's awesome. Um, Before we get into that, I just want to do a couple of announcements. First of all, I'd like to offer my condolences and my sympathies to our friend Braden Duncan, who was on our show. She's a tremendously talented artist, and her brother passed away, and we're really, really sorry to hear that. We really want to offer our condolences and our sympathies on his sudden passing, and there's no words that I can say that to alleviate the pain or anything, but we are sorry, and we are thinking about you and your family at this really tough time, and sending you light and healing. And the second thing I wanted to announce is something on a happier note. Uh, our good friend Randy, aka the Rainbow Goth, um, she's back. Our girl's back. Just got she hasn't gone anywhere, but she suffered a loss too about 8 months ago. God, time flew. She lost her little co-host Ducky, and and it's been really hard. It's been really hard for her, and between that and the pandemic, and as a friend standing on the outside, it really hurt my heart a lot to see her suffer so much. And there's nothing, really nothing you can do. But she posted today that she feels really happy. She's got herself a kitty, and we're really happy about that. She said to prepare for cat pictures, and Lord knows we need more cat pictures because there's just not enough cats on the internet. So I'm looking forward to hearing her story about how she got her new friend, and pretty soon we'll be seeing some really fun videos from her. Anybody who's ever watched Rainbow Gosh channel knows what I'm talking about. It's anybody who has a pet that shares a channel with, it's just so much more fun with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing her new friend, and we're really glad she's back. We're really glad she's happy. It's been way too long, and so we're raising our hands up. Woo, woo. All right. So this is the third month of February. That's right, more cats. So this is our third month of February, and so tonight we have Stephen to kick off the week, which is actually a really good idea. I'm really glad that he's here. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. we have actress Sandy Johnson will be here with us. Sandy Johnson played Judith Myers on Michael Myers' first victim on the Halloween 1978. So we'll be catching up with Sandy Johnson. She see how she's been doing. I know that she's got some new movies coming up that we'll be talking to her about. and we'll be talking about her place in horror movie legends. I mean, face it, you become a legend, an icon when you're in a movie as influential as Halloween is. Um, Anything you do, you're gonna be known for it. Um, think about how many careers that movie has launched. It's into the stratosphere is interesting. And even even though she wasn't in it that long, the impact is everything. I mean, you can't start thinking about or talking about Michael Myers without talking about Judith Myers. So we'll be talking to her about her career, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. No trees have eyes, Casey. No, no. Someone asked me how if it was it says it didn't sound very good, and I said yeah, it's about Sea Beast, and I said at least it's better than the trees have eyes. I do believe the trees have eyes has been the worst movie I've reviewed from Dollar Tree Theater. I mean, or before I got in the Dollar Tree Theater, it was still it's just a bad movie. Whereas Ouija Shark is now a cult favorite because it's just so goofy. You have to embrace Ouija Shark. You don't have to embrace Trees Have Eyes. You could burn it. You could throw it. We could have a contest. In fact, we could have a contest to see which person could throw their copy of the Trees Have Eyes the furthest. Right? They could go out there. They could film it. You have to stand out there, show us you got the movie, and then fling it. And then whoever wins has the longest throw gets a prize. Yeah, Tony Moran. Yeah, I think we'll leave Tony Moran. I think we'll leave Tony Moran out of this because I want no part of that smoke that he brought on himself when he was crushing Halloween and got his ass kicked by the fans. Um, yeah, don't want any part of that. Um, I think Danielle Harris would be the first one to stand up and just say, "Listen to the man; he knows what he's talking about." Um, and then Thursday, we have young director Joe Leone will be here with us. He directed Reap, that me and the Cheetah had we watched and reviewed for Bayview Entertainment, and Joe Leone is going to be a director to keep an eye on for. He's got some skills. He just needs some more money. One of those directors that operates really well with a low budget, but after a while, you want to see what he can do with a real budget. And I think he deserves a shot. Um, I think he has innovation. I think he has ideas. He has vision. Yeah, we're going to be talking to him on the 17th at 8 p.m. All right, it is now 7:55. Our good friend Stephen is here, so let's bring him on in.
Hello.
All right. Greetings, sir. Greetings.
Hello. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm on the other side tonight, so let's do this.
Well, no, see, this is the big difference between you and me. You and Boom you guys are like racing. As soon as you guys are on, you're like, all right, so what's your name? Where are you from? What's your middle name? What's your social security number? I mean, you guys like,
What's your blood type? All that.
If I was a guest, I would take off my hat and just let all your questions flow back against my hair to straighten it out. Because you guys ask so many questions so fast right off the bat. So we're not going to do that to you. We're going to just chill for a minute. Let a chance for the audience to show up.
All right.
Yeah. I know.
I'll just take a nap in. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I watched a couple of your shows, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna get comfortable here. I'm just get my pillow here, like blanket, and I'm already like, oh shit, the show's halfway over, because you've already asked them like 20 questions in the first 5 minutes. Let's see. Tell me more about naked cannibal campers.
Ah, yeah, that's the shirt I'm wearing there. It's a Gator Blade film. Sean Donahue did that, and Sushi and Kate Phoenix is in it. So it's
That
pretty much what the title says: naked cannibal campers. Yeah, lots of sacrifices, killing, and surprise, they're naked.
surprise, it's probably a Wild Eye too, right?
No, it's not.
No way! Get out of town,
Right, that's why I
really?
say it's a Gator Blade Films. Yeah, so
Gator bait films. You said
Blade,
a
Gator
blade.
Blade,
Okay, I thought it was Gator bait. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Gator Baiter.
Uh,
What?
yeah, bait, gate, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Now is that Donahue? Is that Heather Donahue's? And you listen to Heather Donahue or Danielle
I
Donahue?
yeah, I don't think so. Nah, just his
Okay.
that's his last name. So he's actually
Uh,
on my Facebook too. You can like look him up, and it has all his movies. Let me see, Gator Blade Films, I think it's called. But like they're always at Tampa Bay Screams. They're
okay.
of course based here in Florida. So, but yeah, Kate Phoenix has worked with him a lot. Sushi. Um, so yeah,
Well, you know, you gotta, make sure you show that shirt. So when you send this interview to him, he can see that you pimping him out. You know,
yeah, of course. Yep, there we go.
that's
Yeah,
right. Here's
that
Gator
that was
Blade Films.
that was the movie that I had did the Indiegogo. I was supposed to be killed in the sequel, but unfortunately they didn't raise enough money, so I didn't get to get killed in it.
I mean,
So
they did. How could they not raise enough money for a movie titled Naked Cannibal Campers?
and
That screams
it
mega
the
hit
second one
all
was
over.
called Season of the Bitch was the title of it. Naked Cannibal Campers 2 Season of the Bitch. Yeah.
Okay, I just don't know how. I just don't know how that didn't just. I just don't know how that didn't make enough money. You know, you would think the fans would be sitting there going like, "Take my money."
Yeah, yeah.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah. So I was just as surprised, but
What
hey,
do
I
you think?
guess
Do you think maybe because they're going to do the second one because the first one they brought out the babes naked, and then the second one they're going to bring out the dudes?
I
What?
don't think so. I mean, a lot of the same people were in there.
Yeah, what?
I wasn't gonna get naked. I was just gonna be killed. Like I know how I was gonna die. He told me, but I don't know if I should say or not. You know,
No, they could be doing it
because
again. You know?
they might do it later. So yeah. But when I saw him in Tampa, it was a pretty badass way I would have been killed too. But oh well.
Hi, Hobbs. Hobbs
What's
is
it?
here. Greetings. Um, yeah, India go. You know, that's something that's funny you mentioned that because this is something we could talk about later because I'm not sure if you talked to any of your guests and about this, but I'll definitely want to know get your opinion about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, before we do that, we'll circle back because this is your first time on the other side, I do believe, because you and I have known each other for about a year now,
Yeah, probably.
and we've done, we lost, I, I don't know. Do you ever just wake up at night and just like cuss at me? You ever just wake up and go like, "You son of a bitch"? I mean,
Yeah, I just said wake up and they're like, "Fuck Patrick."
yeah. See, I was wondering about that because I was thinking, I wonder if he's done that at night when he saw it
I just
because
talk in my
you're laying
sleep.
there. You're laying there, you're trying to figure out who you're going to get for a guest, and you haven't heard back from that person yet, and you're like, you're going over here, going like, has this person come back yet? Why am I doing this show? That son of a bitch. Because you brought us Danielle Harris to the midnight hour, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then I was going like, well, why are you doing that, brother? Well, you should be doing this for yourself.
And that's after that, I was like, you know what? That's it. I mean, I don't mind, we're all in the same community, and I was a part of it too. It was a good time. But yeah, and after that, I was like, I should just be doing this. I should have been doing it for a long time with all the people I've met and connections in the past. I probably could have had even over 100, 200 shows by now if I kept going. But
Your guest list is super strong. That's why I tell people that all the time. I think of there's like 3 or 4 of us out here doing this sort of thing, interview thing. I mean, you had Bronco Juggalo, who's getting back into it. I heard him mentioned on the Super Size Pros. He might be going a different direction with his interviews. I heard he might be trying to talk to some wrestlers, which would be
okay.
very interesting. But I know that he's going to get back into the game. He's been off for a little bit, gathering his wits together, and I don't blame him for that.
Hmm.
but it'll be good to see him back in the saddle,
Yeah.
asking some questions. And then you got some other folks too that have done some interviews. I know John's going to get back into the game. Doomsday's Crypt. He was doing some interviews there for a minute.
Hmm.
Um, I know Sean Patrick Gershon has done a few. In fact, I got the guest for tomorrow night. I watched his interview with her. That was about 6, 7 months ago. Uh,
Hmm.
but you're in the House of Horrors. You hit the ground running. I mean, you just were. So I mean, you must have. That must have been. You're right. You have a lot of contacts. But before we talk about that, but were you always a Florida kid? Have you always lived in Florida?
Yep. I was born in Hollywood, Florida. Of course, yeah, I don't remember that. But when I was 2, moved up to Central Florida, or I lived down south. Then I lived in DeBary for a bunch of years, which is not far from Orlando. So yeah, and then I lived down south for a while again, and back up in Tallahassee. So I've been all over Florida, south, central, north. Yeah.
Now is this because your parents were your parents? Did they just get different jobs, or were they getting promoted and they were just bound? They get
Uh,
military brat or?
nah, nothing like that. Just I mean, I lived in DeBary a long time. And then my parents were separated for a while. I lived down south with my dad for a bit. After he passed away, I came back up here. So yeah, I had some issues after. I don't want to get too much into it, but with stepmother and stuff, living down there, and it was just hell. And I actually lived out of my truck for a bit, trying to get a job back where I used to live and everything for a while. And after that, I came with my aunt and uncle until I got back on my feet, and here I am. So I don't know how
Um,
people can do it, not living, doing nothing. It's a challenge. So yeah.
yeah, it's not easy, that's for sure.
So yeah.
Uh, uh, Now, when you were growing up, I mean, were movies a big part of your life growing up? I mean, was that just something that didn't happen till later? I mean,
Oh
were you
shoot.
always a movie fan? Did you have your favorites growing up?
I mean, I've always been into movies and TV shows. I mean, as long as I could remember. Um, I remember seeing the original Ninja Turtles. My mom taking me to see that when I was younger. Like you name it, I was always into movies and TV shows growing up. So I mean, so
Or
many, too many
were,
to name. I mean,
what were some of your favorites? I mean, did you have favorite actors or actresses? People that, was it something, did you like horror more, or were you more into dramas, comedies?
actually, like I sort of liked. I mean, I was always sort of interested in horror. I remember going to the VHS store and seeing like the covers. But actually, I wasn't really allowed to see horror movies. But every now and then, I was one of those that was like real strict, like, no, you can't watch that. And here my cousins watching like Friday the 13th when they were 10 or 9. But yeah, I kind of got into it earlier. But I mean, like I'd see stuff on TV and cartoons and Halloween cartoons. I was always into Halloween. So eventually finally got into it and pretty much devoured it ever since. So
Uh, So what was some of the earliest what are some of the earliest thoughts, some of the memories you had of watching horror movies? Did you was there any one particular one that scared you, or you saw it and go like, you know what, I love this, I love these movies, I'm gonna watch these things forever?
what's kind of funny is with my dad, I used to watch like Tales from the Crypt when it came on. It used to freak me out, which is kind of funny. But I would go back in and watch it. Watch like some Joe Bob Briggs stuff, the Last Drive-In, like edited stuff on TV, or my dad would show me stuff. One, I think it was like 11 or 12 when I saw. I'm hoping they, what is it? Scream Factory might release it one day. Stanley, the rattlesnake movie in the Everglades. I don't know if you ever saw
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah, I remember that
It
old
came out
movie.
in 1972, I want to say 72 or 74. Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. And see, I'm old enough to remember this. Back in the 70s and the 80s, they used to have we didn't have what we have now. We used to have um, independent TV stations, and
Hmm.
they would show up. They would show movies like that all late at night or whatnot. Some stations were so broke that they could show the same movie a couple of times a day or whatnot. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, there we didn't have the streaming or even cable. I mean, cable was very much in its infancy in the early 70s. Um, but yeah, they used to show off a lot of those old movies back then, more back then than they do today, if you notice that.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you don't see movies like that being shown today, not even in the streaming services. I think a lot of these movies are just, they're being forgotten unless they actually do get and even then, it's like unless you're in the know about it, unless you're like a true diehard film collector,
Right.
a lot of times you won't even know that the movie's been released on physical media. And
Hmm.
you can just remember growing up and going like, I remember being scared shitless by Stanley. I wonder if they ever released it.
I
And
know it was on some DVD. I remember, I forget if it was Joe had it or someone. There was like a box set of a bunch of movies, and that's like the only way I've seen it is like on a multi pack. I haven't really seen any release of it. I've been trying to track it down. That's
uh,
why Hobb said Stanley. What the fuck? Laugh out loud. Yeah,
yeah,
with the killer rattlesnakes. Or he was like
yeah,
a snake
yeah, there,
tamer.
yeah. It was. You know what? I think I want to say it might have came out right after Willard.
It might have been before.
Or was it what movie came out first? I have to remember if it was Willard
Might
or
have
Ben.
been. It might have come out before Willard. I think.
See, I'm not sure which movie came out first, Willard or Ben. I know one of those two, and then Willard came out. There were two of them in the series.
Yeah. I
Um,
think Ben might have been first, or no, Willard then Ben. I don't know, but those were the two. Yeah.
and then you had it's the '70s, man. Wow. Yeah, that was a good time to be a horror fan. Did you watch a lot of '70s horror growing up?
Not too much, but that was like one that he showed me, and because he was from Miami, I've been to the Everglades. I've been down there, so it was cool to watch a movie that was filmed there. So that's pretty much like since my dad introduced that to me, like stuck with me like forever. So that's probably one movie there.
Yeah, shit, Everglades. The only thing I remember about the Everglades, they had a show there called Gentle Ben, and that was my first taste of the Everglades. It
Mm.
wasn't until much later that I found out the Everglades, they don't have grizzly bears and they don't have wind boats and stuff like that. And the Everglades is a hell of a place to be.
Yeah. I also
Um,
I also went to the Miccosukee Indian Village when I was down there, so that was a good time. I had gotten, I don't know where it is now, but I had like a little baby alligator head, and of course, we went on the airboats there, and yeah, it was a good time. So
Good memories for you, huh?
yeah, for sure.
That's a good thing.
So
Um, so when once you got your feet settled, I mean, a little bit, um, because I know you mentioned that, you're still trying to find your way a little bit, and
mhm.
it happens to all of us.
So,
Uh, um, hell, I'm still looking for the pathway. Someone knows the way. Let me know.
yeah,
Uh,
that's for sure.
yeah. Uh, so what was the first movie that once you became aware of what you were watching? Because a lot of times you watch movies when you're younger and you remember the movies, but you're not really aware of them. You remember watching them, but you don't really remember like what they were about or anybody in the movie or in the show or whatnot. But what was the first thing? What was the first? How old were you when you rediscovered the horror films? Like this time you started noticing the people that are in it.
Hmm. Let's see. Because I know Monster Squad was one. I know what you did last summer. Um, because I remember that was a movie my mom had to get the tickets for me and my cousin to see that. And the first movie I remember was Red Dragon was the first R-rated movie I saw. And it was funny because I went there like a couple days after my birthday, and the girl, she's on the phone. She like gives me an attitude at first. I was like, yeah, one for Red Dragon. And she's like, did you just say Red Dragon? That's R. And I already had my idea out. She looked at me and she's like, oh, happy late birthday. And like your personality just snapped like that. I'm like, okay, psycho. Like she was freaking out. She's like, that's R, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, whoa, chill.
Yeah, relax, take a chill pill. Uh, it's funny. It's funny because I used to go to R-rated movies all the time. I mean, I was when I was 14, I looked 18. I had a mustache and fur on my face, and I only had one time that anybody ever stop us. You know, like because I was too young. That was when we saw the Dawn of the Dead. The only time they saw us there every single weekend. But when we saw Dawn of the Dead in '78, they had to tell my mom's husband to come in and vouch for us.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, so
Yeah, it's funny.
was this? Did this? You know, when you're watching this, you know, is this when the love of conventions first came into play? I mean, did you have conventions at that time that you were aware of?
The actual first convention I went to, and I wasn't aware of them. I know they had gone on years before that, but I never really knew about them. I was 14 and I went to Vulcan Convention. It's not around anymore. It's a convention Joe Motes used to run. And the only reason why I heard about it was I don't know why or who sent it, and my mom never knew either. Maybe it was something she forgot about. But I got a Buffy the Vampire Slayer magazine. They used to do the monthly magazines, and in there, James Marsters was going to be in Altamont Hotel, which was like 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away at the time. So that was the first convention I went to. I heard of Vulcan. It was just him. That was just like a small one with him at the time. He was the only one there. And I started going to Buffy conventions and MegaCon. It just started going from there. I became friends with the promoters. They happened to know me. I just fell into it and pretty much met the right people. And
Now, how old were you when you what did you? How old were you when you went to your first Comic Con?
Well, 14 was the first convention there. So 15 after that. Yes. I just enjoyed them after that. So I just wanted to go to more. So
Yeah. What did you remember most about it, Stephen? I mean,
the Vulcan one, the Buffy ones, or which?
the very first convention you went to. What are some of your impressions about it?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, the first one just had the one James Marsters, and then I forget who was at the other. If it was Juliet Landau, Julie Benz, they started doing bigger ones. It was an interesting experience to see how they got it set up. The way they used to run it was by rows for autographs. So I know, like, what is it now? Like MegaCon, Spooky Empire, they don't really do by rows autographs. So I mean, I kind of like that setup a little bit because it went by pretty quick. So, and if you bought like the VIP ticket, you'd be in rows or platinum, they call it gold, platinum, silver. You'll be like in the first 8 rows or 4 rows, however many back. So it was a good setup. I liked how it was done.
Now, did you write about your experiences? Have you ever been a writer? Did you like when you went to these conventions? Did you write about it?
No, I didn't write about conventions, but I used to like write stories in school. I won Young Authors Conference. I wrote horror stories, short stories. First one was called, well, the one I won, I think it was either elementary or middle school. I called it Bugged. And it's sort of idea of like Why I'm Afraid of Bees, Goosebumps book, where
Sure.
he turns into it. But in my story, like there's this wizard that came back. He would torture bugs and everything, like pull their wings off, burn them with a magnifying glass. And like every 300 years, the wizard would come back and punish someone, a kid to teach him a lesson. He turns into a fly, and he wakes up and his sister tries to kill him. He gets stuck in a spider web, shook up in a jar, just stuff that happens to bugs that we do as kids. Some kids, not me.
Yeah.
I don't torture bugs. That's wrong. Don't torture bugs.
No torture bugs.
And like as he's being shook up in the jar, he wakes up in his bed and he's like, oh, it's just a dream. And then his back felt weird and he gets out of bed and he looks and there were wings growing out of his back and he screamed. And like the ending was, looks like Kevin was out of luck. Well, actually, he was bugged. So that's basically
Oh,
it. Yeah.
okay.
When I was
A cautionary tale.
yes, I won with that. When I was in elementary, also, I think I started in middle school, like 5th to 8th grade. Like during the summer, I hand wrote a book, which I gotta find it and retype it and make it more adult because it's actually a really good story. My best friend is an alien, and it ended up handwritten over a couple of summers. I want to say about 190 pages, 200 pages handwritten.
Wow. And you
Yeah,
still have that.
I hope I have it somewhere, but I don't know if it got lost in a move or. But I mean, I pretty much know the story. I think when it was typed, it was like 80 or 90 pages. But being older, I can make it more mature and add more to it and improve upon it. But I should get back into writing. I mean, I have some
Yeah.
ideas. So
Yeah, I think that I got to get back into writing myself, because it'll help me improve myself, as far as doing this channel goes.
mhm.
So after your first convention, like, is that where you became, more, and you came just basically horror became that was your favorite genre? I mean, you started hanging out, going, the conventions, the horror conventions. Um, did you watch Buffy and Angel on TV pretty religiously?
Yeah, I actually saw the movie before the show. Because it came out in '97, the show, but I saw it with Christy Swanson. And I remember I had finally convinced my mom to rent it for me. And she even ended up liking it. And Paul Rubens actually had a part in that. I don't know if you remember and everything. And like that was just the most hilarious part when he's like dying at the end and he's like got that over dramatic death. So I was actually a fan of Buffy before the show. And yeah, I followed the show when it was on the WB Monday nights and to the UPN.
Who was the better Buffy, Christy or Sarah Michelle?
Christy Swanson's good, but I mean, she didn't have as much as Sarah did to develop the character. So I mean, I guess Sarah Michelle Gellar probably had more story to work out to be the better Buffy.
I always wonder what would happen if they would have cast it, because Christy Swanson at the time, as she did the first Buffy, she was actually considered a star on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why she didn't do it, was because she wanted to stay in movies.
Yeah.
You don't get tied down to the weekly commitment.
Yeah.
I
And I
think,
think that
I
Sarah was
think,
already in TV shows and everything. She was doing some soap operas and she did
right.
Burger King commercial, I think when she was like 8 or 9 or something. Yeah. So.
I do think that I think if Christy knew what she knew now, I think she probably would have changed her mind on that.
Yeah, it was a big show. So I mean, but
all right, so now you cut your teeth on Buffy and Angel. So what's next for you? I mean, you're doing a little bit of writing. You're enjoying the enjoying the TV shows. You're at home now. With your uncle and aunt. Now you're going to conventions. So what was next for you? I mean, as far as did you did you just keep watching horror films? Did you start making notes about it? Because you mentioned to me before that you want to make your own movie. So was that something that this was a recent thing that you wanted to do? Which I don't think it is. I think you probably wanted to do that for a while now.
yeah, for a while I've had a couple of different ideas, and then some new ideas came up for some other stuff. Yeah, I'm bad at like getting back to it. Like I have all these ideas, and I just need to get it all out so I can complete it and get it done. I mean, I was in TV productions, drama class, all of that.
Did you ever want to get into be an actor yourself, or did you ever want to just be an actor, or did you want to be a director, or what?
Yeah, I like to act. I've done plays and everything, like I said. But yeah, unfortunately, I've never really like done any moves to go out there and do that. But yeah, I've always wanted to act. Something I enjoy. I've always enjoyed acting. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I went to Swanson was a great Buffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird seeing Christy and David Boreanaz and Allison. I don't know. That'd be an interesting.
Yeah, I'm not really so sure about that either. That would have been. I don't know. I think she probably would have vibed well with Boreanaz for sure.
So yeah, well, yeah. But the rest
I
of the
think that
cast,
they have, I think they have more in common. I think that happens. I think when actors have a lot in common, I think it improves their performances. Because they're less strangers and more comrades. More that when you have something, when you have common things together. I think it's one of the times you hear about people. When you watch movies, you review them. I mean, you can tell when there's no, we talk about this a lot when we do our film reviews, and that is chemistry. Do you have chemistry? And the castmates, so that can they vibe together, and sometimes you can tell right away that they don't really fit well together, and I think that a lot of it has to do with their personalities off the camera.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you think that's, do you pick that up? What do you, let's go this way. What was the very first thing you ever reviewed as a fan? Do you remember that you were the first thing you ever reviewed as a fan?
I'd have to go back. I honestly don't remember the first.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Wow, that's bad. I really can't remember the first thing I reviewed, to be honest. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay, well, how about the first review that you became aware of that you do remember?
Well, I used to do, which maybe something I should start up again. I used to do like a Fright Friday reviews, have different categories of movies, like the Stephen King movies, vampire movies. Like there was different themes that I used to do. I don't know if you remember that or not. But yeah, I did like, I can't remember if I did The Stand or not. So yeah,
I didn't get into this, I didn't get into writing, until about maybe like 5 years ago, going on 6 years. I didn't do anything like that till about 6 years ago. As far as movies, I used to review music. I reviewed music there for a little bit, but music and movies are a little bit different. Actually, they're a lot different.
mm-hmm.
So it's funny. It's really funny is that music and movies have a lot more in common than people realize. But as far as reviewing them, it's a totally different world.
Mm-hmm.
And are you a self-taught critic? I mean, did you teach yourself how to to write, for film reviews? And how old were you when you first? I'd be probably better yet. It's like, how old were you when you started writing? You started doing them.
Well, like I said, I used to just write stories and stuff. I really didn't do much reviews or anything until I started YouTube and everything. Whenever I do my reviews, I just pretty much try to be honest about it and, just give out my opinions, whether people disagree or agree, which is fine. We all have our own opinions. Doesn't really matter to me. It's just, if something entertains me, I just tell it how it is.
Eric's mentioning something here. He's saying that I found Stephen through his Fright Fridays concept. I love participating in that. I do hope you'll bring it back.
I mean, if that's how you found me, maybe that's a good way to get out there more too. So, I mean, yeah.
So how long have you how old were you when you got involved in YouTube? I mean, how long have you been a YouTuber?
Let's see, because I had a channel before and then I had restarted. Probably let's see, the horror packs. I did all those maybe 5 year, 4 years, something like that, maybe.
And what is it? Because I'm new to this. So what was your Fright Fridays about?
I would have a wheel of random categories, like either vampires or bloodbath, and then you can choose any movie in that category, like maybe decapitations, like a movie where someone gets their head chopped off, a certain type of murder, just different themes.
Oh, just lighthearted films, right?
Yeah, like I called one like "Don't Lose Your Head," and that was the one with decapitations. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at it, but there was like just different ones. There was like creature feature ones, and they would just spin the wheel, and each week, so
So everybody would come to the channel. You would have the wheel. They would sit there and say, "Okay, I'm here," and you sit there. Okay, all right, Eric. Here's what you're going to be writing about or talking about this week, and you spin the wheel, and then he would have to come back and do a movie. Oh, wow, that's a really good. You're right, Eric. That's a really good concept.
yeah.
You should bring that back, Stephen.
So yeah, I guess I should do that then. So
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. So what led you to I mean, by this time you're doing more conventions because you're big into that. That's one of the things I know you. There's two things that or three things I should say that I know a lot about you, and that is one, the love of conventions. You like going to those, and you have a lot of fun there. What's the attraction?
I mean, besides meeting the guests, which is obviously great, I mean, you get to meet people who have the same interests, and like, you like, what now? Why? You're weird. You know, we're all accepted for who we are there. You know, there's individual parties and meeting new people. I mean, like, I've made several friends through conventions who I wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you know how some people in your area, you know, might not like what you like. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm the weird one at work. Like, I might mention, like, you know, when I used to work at Walmart, I might mention movies or something. They're just like, what? Like, they don't know anything about that topic. It's like, never mind. Or I might say a quote or something like that, and they just be like, what? And like, hi. Yeah, I got to remember who I'm working with now. So
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, have you ever been? Have people ever come up to you and you know, they get a little alarmed because maybe you mentioned like, yeah, I saw this great movie last night called Headless, and did people ever like? Do they ever like come up to you and like, what was that you're talking about? Or better yet, do they ever come up to you and say, hey, what do you recommend? What do you think about this movie?
it's kind of funny you mentioned about recommending movies. I used to work at Movie Gallery. And I mean, I like drama, comedy, action too. I'm not just horror, you know. I mean, I love horror. That's my main. But I mean, I'm into other stuff as well. When I worked at Movie Gallery, there was this one woman who would come in and like whatever was new, or I just asked her what movie she was in the mood for, whether comedy, action. She'd come right into me. She's like, "I'm so glad you're working. I want a comedy tonight." So I would say, "Oh, this just came out," and I would like within maybe 2 minutes pick out like 2 or 3 movies for her and check it out. And she'd always come back and be like, "Great movie, thank you." She's like, "I only come when you work."
Now, did you notice this when you were when you worked at Movie Gallery? Did you ever notice how people used to come in there and just absolutely struggle?
Yeah, sometimes I would just like, and I was the one that would always ask him or be like, "Oh,
Would they be sitting in your store for like 45 minutes to an hour trying to figure out what 3 movies to pick?
well, that's what she would have said." She goes, "Before you start working here, I'd be in here forever. I'm just in and out. Thank you."
Yeah,
And
that's what that's what used to happen to that's what would really happen to when me and my wife, we'd go to Blockbuster and we go in there, and it was just, you walk in there and it's so overwhelming because you have so many choices. And after like the second or third time, she just said, I can't do that. It's just too overwhelming for me. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. And so I go in there and I had 3 movies, one for her, one that we watched together, and then one for me. And then that's how I picked it out. And yeah, I mean, Hobbs knows this too. Hobbs knows this, and when we used to go to, when him and I would talk about our days at Family Video. I mean, Family Videos were in a big store. They weren't anywhere near like a Blockbuster was as far as volume go. But I'll be damned if it wasn't me sitting inside that damn store for 45 minutes trying to figure out what movies to buy.
yeah.
Now, did you collect physical media? Hi, Real. Real the catfish. All right.
Hey, real
Real-time catfishing. That's right. He got great lives. Love his channel. Super cool guy. Him and his wife go out there and they fish on the banks and catch some big catfish. Let me tell you, I love fishing channels. I do. I love them. It's so much fun. Glad you're here. I believe his name is John, if I'm not mistaken. So
okay.
yeah, I used to just go in there and go to the video store 45 minutes, and worse if they had a sale. If they had a sale, the misery, because then you sit around like, okay, I got like $20. What movies do I want to get? So, but did you collect physical media when you were younger?
Yeah, I still have some VHSs, and a couple of moves and stuff, which I hate. Stuff got lost and everything. But yeah, I always get DVDs and Blu-rays. I mean, I do a lot of streaming and stuff now too, but I mean, stuff that I like and support, of course, I still like buying my physical media, and it's good if the internet goes out, I still got tons of stuff to watch whenever I want anyway. So, I mean, it's always a plus having physical media. And then I worked at my first job was Suncoast, which is like Sam Goody. They were the two stores connected, Sam Goody and Suncoast. So yeah, like working there, I got a lot of discounts and got a lot of movies there when I worked there. And then when they shut down, they were liquefying the store. I got a bunch of stuff. So
Now, what was the first VHS tape you ever bought? I know you know. Everybody remembers their first. Everybody in the chat, drop down the first VHS tape you ever bought.
Let's see.
I'm sure everybody.
I remember cartoons that I had, like Disney ones, and I remember I had E.T. and Land Before Time. What was that?
Echo saying Suncoast in capital letters. He remembers there. He remembers that. I do remember Suncoast. I remember them even back then. I remember them for how expensive they were. They're always so much more expensive than Tower Records. That's why I used to get a lot of my stuff at.
What's good with them though, they used to order through this company, of course, no longer around, but they could get like rare stuff that was called Ingram, and they would like order stuff through them, and they were good at getting like hard to get movies. So I mean, that was a plus of one of their services that they supplied. Yeah,
hey,
Sam Goody. Hey, John. Sam Goody was like the music portion of it. So, but I worked at the movie, of course.
Okay. So yeah, see there you remember their first VHS tape they bought.
But yeah, I remember like what was it, Halloween Tree, that cartoon, which it's silly now, and I'm not as into it. But Double Double Toil and Trouble, the Olsen twins, that where the grandmothers were witches.
What's funny? I'm laughing at that, but if you had a copy of that now, it'd probably be worth some cash.
Yeah, it probably would be, but yeah, I don't have that anymore. But
that's the very first.
I mean, at the time,
I was late to the game because I didn't have a TV when I was doing music. I didn't have a TV. I was never home. I was always, I used home just to sleep at. Then I get up and go watch other bands and stuff. So I didn't get my first VHS tape until late. And I got a copy of Starship Troopers. That was my first VHS tape I ever bought before I bought a DVD or Blu-ray. And of course, the VHS, of course, the damn machine ate my tape.
Oh, gosh.
Hi, Echo. I'm glad you're here, sir. We used to rent VHS tapes. My brother used to wear the hell out. He used to wear this tape out. He goes to his mom and pop store. They had the little group. They had like 40 movies. And every weekend we go get 2 movies, and he go and get American Ninja every damn weekend. In fact, he got so much that the people, and now remember this VHS tapes were expensive. They were dropping, but they were still expensive. But the very nice couple that ran the store, they bought him a copy of his own American Ninja for him. And which obviously, if we would have spent all the money that we spent renting them, we could have bought a VHS player ourselves.
Yeah, probably.
So what are you when you going back to conventions? What was it like? Who was the first celebrity that you met?
Well, James Marsters was the first one I met. A lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer actors were the first ones that I met. And then I started, like I said, MegaCon after that. Spooky Empire. Trying to think non-Buffy wise. I even met I went to some plays that they had in Orlando, and actually I've met he's passed away since, of course, but Carl Anderson from Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay.
when they were doing the tour. Um, Sebastian Bach was playing Jesus at the time.
Bach.
Yeah, and it was funny. Yeah, I was wearing a Spider-Man shirt. He's like, "Oh yeah, cool Spider-Man shirt," and I had Carl Anderson sign the DVD picture of him. Like people were having him sign the playbill and stuff, and there were like kids in there, and so they were on stage. And when I handed him that to sign, he looked at it, and since I had like the original picture of him, he was like surprised because no one else had anything like that, and he was showing the other cast, and so that was pretty cool. And I'm trying to think who else.
Did you ever think that you'd be interviewing some of these people that you've met?
No, I mean, I didn't even think of it, until the past year. I mean, I'm up to 42 shows now, I believe. So, I mean, not, I guess has been on every one, but yeah, it's an interesting. I wish I would have thought of it sooner. I don't know why I've never got into it. I guess better late than never.
No, you're making up for lost time.
So,
I tell people all the time, and Hobbs and everybody can tell you that I do talk it up. Yeah, I think ever since you found the show, yeah, you've I definitely feel like you put me through my paces. You make me a better interviewer, a better show. I have to work that much harder. I look at what you're doing, and it's inspiring.
So I appreciate that. And I mean, what you do too. And actually, because, the midnight hour and everything, I was like, you're getting guests. I mean, and I figured I'd go ahead and go for it. And you actually even talked me into it. Like, why are you getting people for us? So
yeah, I like spotting talent. And I just thought, hey, if you can get those people and you have, then, why do what you can do for yourself? Why do for others what you can do for yourself?
yeah.
So how's it been for your show? I mean, it's been over a year. I mean, what are some of the things that you've discovered about yourself in doing the show?
Well, I guess you can say from each show, it is a learning experience. And I mean, I have gotten tips from you as well. And, I've learned from you. You say you learned from me. So I'm just being part of the community and learning from each other, meeting new people. And it's just, progress from there, like I said. And so that's pretty much, I think like I said, each one will get better. And I'm hoping to improve and attract more people to it. And I've noticed, I mean, sometimes I do better in reruns than the live, but I have been getting, more people have become aware of it.
Yep.
Which is surprising. Even in my area, which was kind of crazy when I was doing some DoorDash, I delivered over to an apartment complex, and the guy at the gate noticed my shirt. I forget. I think it was a Friday the 13th one, the Jason one I was wearing. It was a horror shirt. I don't know. I mean, I got tons of horror shirts. And I was, oh yeah, you like horror? And he goes, oh yeah. So I went to give him my card. I go, oh, yeah, I do a podcast. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, actually, I've seen you. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I'm being recognized a little bit around here too. So that's
How nice is that? Is that the first time you've been recognized for your show?
Second, actually, there was a girl at Walmart that was looking at movies, and I used to pass them out too. And she was like, oh yeah, I already watched that. So, and at one convention, she said her husband watched already. So that was interesting. So it is getting around.
What are some of the things? I mean, what's your show prep like? I mean, walk us through a day in the life, or walk us through preparing a episode of the House of Horrors. What do you do?
Well, we'll start out when I search for the guests. Of course, I'm big Wild Eye fan, but I try to get more than independent. I mean, I support everybody, but trying to build it up, which has been great. They've all been great. Like I think of what what guests would be somewhat easy to reach. I don't want to go for someone who has like a million, because unfortunately I'm not that big to get, someone to reply faster, or, a larger audience that they would come on. Think of the movie I want. Like, I was thinking Terrifier, but I met them at a convention. If I meet them at a convention, I'll try to talk to them that way. I actually go through YouTube, see what horror movies might be interesting. And then I just see if that person has a Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, social media way to contact them. And I've been lucky enough I'll go ahead and since next month is Women of Horror. I haven't posted it yet, but I'll go ahead and announce one woman, Tristan Risk, who was in American
Oh,
Mary.
wow, nice.
Yeah, so
Little Miss Risk.
yeah, you know who she is. She was a nurse
Oh
in
yeah. Oh
Rabbit.
yeah.
She was in a movie called Aaliyah. She's got a movie. She did a short in Snake People or something or Reptile House. That's what it is. She played like a snake character, which I'll have a picture of that. But she said she's going to be directing soon, and she wants to get into that. So she was really happy that I reached out to her. So that'll be fun.
Now, how do you divide it? I mean, because I always wanted to know this. How do you divide being a? Because I know you want to run the show. It's loose. It's loose, but it's structured. You know what I'm saying? You run the show is it's comfortable to listen to. The rapport you have with Christy is really good. Uh, it's nice and relaxed. But how do you divide from being a podcaster per se? How do you divide it from being a fan? Like because there's a real thin line between being a fan and being not a fan. Being sort of like for what you do. Basically what it is sort of like journalistic. You're going out there, you're trying to get a story, you're trying to interview somebody, or you want to make it professional as possible. As far as questions go, you don't want to be do you find that easy for you? I mean, do you write down your questions? Do you do research? How do you do your prep?
Yeah, I'll watch the movies, take some notes to myself, figure out what I want to ask. I mean, a lot of the guests get the same questions, but I try to be original, have some original ones too. And sometimes it can be a challenge to ask them something new because some of them might have been asked, the same questions every single time. So,
Yeah. Isn't that so? What do you do for that? How do you get around that? Because I think everybody here, you see the same. Like if you see the same person coming on, you don't want to ask them. You don't want to ask them the same questions. You want to try ask something for fresh.
mhm.
Uh, how about this? Do you watch other shows? Do you watch other podcasts or listen to other podcasts to get inspiration?
I should probably start watching more, but I've watched you. I've watched John Doomsday. I've seen that Brett Kelly interview. I've seen Girly Gore.
Okay, you know what? We gotta stop right now because you know what? I have to ask you this. How the hell did you let that happen?
I don't know. I probably should. I just
I was floored. I was absolutely floored. I'm going like Sharon just walked up there and aced you and Brad both out. Both of you guys got aced. I really was waiting for one of you two guys to go get Brett Kelly for your interview show. I really was. I said, okay, because I know as sure as hell he wasn't going to talk to me. Uh,
right.
you know, but I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to get Brett Kelly, but she aced you out. How does that happen, sir? Explain it.
Hell froze over. I don't know.
Plus, not only that, plus you have Christy. You have Christy Miss Boomstick, who loves bad shark movies, and she it slipped through her fingers too. I
I
was
don't know.
I was floored. I really was. I was sitting going like, that's the show how do they that was your guys' show.
Right.
You or Brad should have had that show. And it's like, okay, so how'd that happen? Because have you do you feel like do you feel comfortable in talking to all your guests, or do you ever or has any of your guests ever given you butterflies? You ever talk to them, go like, I can't believe I'm talking to this person.
I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, as a fan of everybody, regardless of who it is, it's always interesting to talk to them and see how they are as a person. Because I mean, people, yeah, you see them in movies, but you got to remember too, they're just people. It's a job
Yeah,
that they do, and some people, might think of them as their character, between reality and their character. So I'm one of, yeah, I'm a person who sees them as a person, and that's beneficial to communicate with them, that we can just chill, talk, have a good time, joke around,
Have
So,
you seen some of that behavior at conventions?
yeah, there's been some weird questions. Like, I don't remember what the question was, but there's actually one. It wasn't the first time I met him. It was at a different Buffy convention, but James Marsters was like asked something as Spike. Like the question was so out there, I don't even remember what it was. And James was just like, I don't know how to answer that. Next question. I mean, like it was like so out of this world that I can't even remember it. I mean, there's some people, of course, that might, as a fan, even let's say just rush up to him and want pictures or don't even have a conversation or I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice having pictures with them. I'm not gonna say no, I don't want a picture with them, but I always talk to them. Thank them for coming. How are you doing? Just normal everyday conversation. One convention, they're not around anymore. The FX show. I believe. What's his name? Colin Ferguson from Eureka.
Sure.
Okay, he was there, and I was actually low on money and I didn't have anything, but I wanted to meet him. And I went up to him and I said, yeah, unfortunately, my budget's, well, first I said hi and, was talking to him and, thanks for coming. And I'm glad I got a chance to meet you. And I was like, he's like, you want anything? And I'm like, unfortunately, my budget's spent for the weekend. I just wanted to, thank you and say that I had, basically I admire your work. I forget the whole conversation.
No, yep.
And he was like, oh, okay. And I started to walk off. He goes, hey, you want a picture? I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. So, I mean, like randomly just got a picture without even asking, So, I mean, they're nice enough to accommodate, or, if you're just a normal everyday person, treat them how you want to be treated. They'll treat you like that.
Yeah, because you're on the other side now. Now before you were on the table, as a fan walking up there and asking for pictures and whatnot. But now you're on the other side. Now you're there. Now they're coming to you. To help them promote themselves. It's a little different now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's been your favorite guest that you've interviewed so far, Stephen? In fact, I want to name your five favorite. Your five favorite. Who been your five favorite guests that you've booked?
Okay.
You got to put Danielle in there.
Yeah, Danielle's got to be on there because I booked her. So Danielle Harris, Rob Mello, and Rebecca. That counts as one because they were together. So that duo. Let's see. David Howard Thornton. It's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was there.
Andre Gower was cool.
Yep, that's a good one too. I didn't, when you mentioned you were going to try to get David, I really thought that I didn't think you could, because I thought that Terrifier 2 was getting close to, getting ready to, create, and I just thought, I don't know, I think the window for us as small tubers, I think the window might be closing because, you know how that goes. You're small and your reach is tiny. But you went out there and got him. I thought that was, you're definitely punching above your weight for that one. Hats off to you too, because I didn't even think about asking him. I didn't think I'd have a chance in hell. I said, nope, I'm not even going to bother. I'm way out of. There's no way he's going to work. He's going to do something with me. And but you went out there and grabbed it, man. Hats off.
So I actually messaged him before I had met him. But he was saying those months he was busy, which was like, which is, I think that was like the end of the year, beginning, whatever, conventions. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll probably see you later. I talked to him a little bit. I remember messaging him too, because someone was dressed up as Art the Clown, and looked dead on like him, though. Same build, everything. And someone had posted saying he was at Spooky Empire, and he wasn't. Because I ended up asking him, I showed him a picture. I was like, were you at Spooky? And he goes, I was going to, surprise, but something came up. So it wasn't him. So like, we had a little bit of communication, and then I had actually met him at Spooky, and I was like, yeah, I'll meet you there. And yeah, he's a cool guy. We ended up hanging out. And yeah, David Howard Thornton was your favorite. Awesome. Can't go wrong with Art. So yeah, we even did, we didn't stay the whole show. We just went up to the Time Warp, but we hung out, watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show at Spooky. And I was a little close, yeah, the rows were, but I moved over. But we were all doing the time warp, so I did the time warp with the Terrifier, which was fun. So yeah, I mean, he was a cool guy. We hung out, and then he came on to the show later on and stuff. So I'd already met him at Spooky, and he knew who I was, and we had a good time that weekend. And so,
so I mean, part of the deal is, you and I both know this too, is when we talk to some of these actors, and I want to talk to you about this because you mentioned this in the beginning of the interview that you were doing Indiegogo. You went and helped fund the movie, try to fund the movie. Have any of your guests ever talked about how do you handle a topic like pay to play? Have you ever brought that up to any of your actors? What are some of your favorite questions that you've asked your guests? I mean, questions that you didn't think that they would answer, but they did, like pay to play.
I haven't asked that one. That's probably a good one. I mean, I've done it. I've done it, and I would have been killed in a movie. I mean, I like to act. I mean, I think I saw you mention it, and like some people a person who could have acted and been in that movie, it takes away from that character.
Yeah. They take the. I mean, have you asked any of the actors yet about that?
Nah, that wasn't a topic I brought up. Like, I like to act, and I thought it would be cool to be dead in a movie. And I mean, it's a good perk. I mean, it might be beneficial to help the movie, but like you said, it could take away. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on the actor's view and the person who just comes in. I mean, I couldn't really answer for them specifically. I would have to ask them.
Because I mean, a lot, because you and I both deal with a lot of a lot of indie actors, and they're out there, a lot of them are just on the way up, or or just they're just glad to be working.
Yeah.
And then when all of a sudden they lose a part because someone paid $2,000 to the Indiegogo pro, not only are you going to die, but you're going to have we're going to recast you. You're going to be the sheriff's deputy now because you paid $2,000.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, I didn't pay that much, but I know some people do, and I've seen like that much there. So yeah, I mean, that's a good point though, that I mean, someone who is trying to, be a part of that, it just randomly, oh, you're this person now. So and depending on, like, I'm trying to think of like acting wise too, someone who can actually act and someone who's just thrown in there just for fun. I mean, that's a different
forgive the Cheetah. This is his new thing now. He literally jumps on here on the couch and he jumps over here for this. So he's stealing scene from me. Is what he's doing.
He wants to come on. He's like, all right,
he's hamming it up. So have you ever has any of your guests ever have they really enjoyed coming and talking with you? Did they ever express any do they ever tell you you do a really good job? I mean, do you use that to basically move forward in your show? Like, okay, what did I, or do you ever go back to watch your shows to see what you could do to improve your interview technique?
I've rewatched a couple. It's weird. Like, I hate watching myself sometimes. I mean, I'll do it, but I'm like, I just. Which is weird because I mean, I like to act too, and I've done TV productions and I enjoy it. And I mean, I've had fun, but sometimes like hearing myself or seeing myself, it's weird.
I'm supposed to be asking you a question too. I'm supposed to be asking you about a movie called Don't Back Down.
Never back down. Never back
down. No, tell us about that. How did you end up doing that?
That was a movie filmed in Orlando, and some friends of mine, they were already extras in it. And Jeff Wadlow, the director, needed more people to be in it and was asking like if people knew people they could invite to come in and be extras. And they invited me. I came in the day after the party. There was like a fight scene at a party. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I saw. Which one did I want to say I saw? I saw the one. I think it was.
It had the mom from 24. The 24. The mom in 24 played the mom in this.
Okay, I know who that is.
And it had the dude from Blood Diamond. I can never say his name. That tall African
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, he's always a great role. He always plays in a great roles.
Yeah, he was the
Dominic
mixed arts.
Hansu.
Yeah, he was the mixed martial arts teacher in it. So yeah, he needed some extras for a couple of days, and I got paid $500 just to be around the set, and they fed us, of course, and they even had like raffle tickets for like Apple computer and stuff, and I mean it was great. The fight scene where they run out into the parking lot, we worked from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, running back and forth so many times for like a 5-minute fight scene. So, and then
Did that whet your appetite more to become an actor?
it was fun though, and I got to meet. Well, this was before she married Johnny Depp, but I met Amber Heard, Cam Gidget.
Right, yeah. Well, she's probably that's probably early stages of being batshit crazy.
It's probably she was like, I mean, she was nice enough to me, but she seemed like kind of catered to a little bit. And she came on the set late. And there's like one point where Jeff was screaming for her to come into the club. He's like, Amber, and she's like coming running with her shoes and she's like, hold on. And then if you watch the movie, there's these 3 blonde girls. I mean, sorry to talk bad about people, but they were wearing pink dresses. They're blondes. Me and this other girl, we were calling them the plastics, like from Mean Girls. We were joking around because they were always trying to get in the scene. Like at one point, they were like, "Oh, what about us?" And we're like, "Oh my god, I cannot stand these girls." They were like so annoying. But I mean, I guess it's like that on every. There's always those ones that think they're the shit, and then others, we just all cooperate and have a good time.
Now, if we watch this movie, what scene are you? You're in that final fight scene. So can we see you in the movie?
If you're looking, you can see me. It's right in the beatdown when he's walking through. There's like an aerial shot of the club. Then there's like this one girl dancing, like 3 people in. He bumps right into me as I'm talking to this girl in the club, and you see me. He literally bumps right into me as he's walking by.
Wow! All right. So why didn't you throw down on him? Do some improv.
Well, there was some improv. I'm so mad. At one point, I was actually around the ring. I was right up front in the fight. And Cam Gidget's character, he was the bad vampire in Twilight. James, I think his name was, or where he got his head ripped off in Twilight. He was, of course, that was his ex-girlfriend. He had the trouble with Sean Ferris's character throughout the whole movie. So he's coming through with his posse, walks right by me. And after the fight, we interact. We're, hell yeah. And, I'm thinking, this is so going to be in the movie, like walking by. Wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, they would have to pay you. They would have to pay you a SAG rate.
So, there's people around the ring too that running around giving fight. I mean, there is people that you see. And then at one point where they're booing him, there was a fighter. I think he got his eye scratched in the movie. So they were booing him because he wasn't doing anything. And I thought that was kind of boring. So I shout back, "Fight back!" really loud. And the guy from Wild 'N Out, who was the DJ, and he's like, "Yo, man, fight back, fight back." And so the whole crowd's like, "Fight back, fight back." Didn't use that in the movie.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. You should get a co-writer credit.
I know. It's like I mean, I thought at least one of the 2 would be in there. I mean, like I said, you can tell it's me if you're looking, but if you're just watching the movie, him walking by, you wouldn't realize you probably missed me like that. But you can see me walk by the 3rd person once he's going through. I'm just talking to this one girl, and yeah.
So I mean, and you're also known too, and we talked about this before. There's maybe some people who don't know this, but you and and a few other folks, you guys are big supporters of Wild Eye. Has your love of indie films always been there? Have you always loved indie films, or is that something you developed once you got your YouTube channel?
It was kind of funny. Like I saw like a couple Wild Eyes before I got into it. I didn't realize them as a company. I remember seeing Bone Hill Road, not realizing that was Wild Eye. It's kind of funny because at a convention, I actually met Todd Sheets, not realizing it was him. It was before maybe it wasn't Bone Hill Road. It was some other Wild Eye movie. I can't remember the first one I saw, if it was Bone Hill Road or something else. But regardless, I'd seen it, and Todd Sheets was there, and I was looking at their table, and before I realized who he was. And unfortunately, I didn't get a picture with him at the time. But I was checking it out. Like, oh, I was looking, and he goes, "That's my movie." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, Clownado and everything, you know." And like once I found out what Wild Eye was, I saw that there were more of them. I looked them up, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I just searched the titles, and I started getting bigger into them because I remember seeing them at Walmart too, like different titles. And at first, I thought they were kind of silly, whatever. I mean, they still are. I mean, but they're good though. But I just was like, okay, this is interesting. And I didn't know this was a company. And I researched them to see how many movies there were. And I'm like, there's a lot of Wild Eye. I didn't realize this.
There is a lot.
So,
so talk about, let's talk about your how you review movies, because that's something, you know, we don't get a chance to talk about too much. But what's your process like, Stephen? I mean, you know, I know it's not as simple as what's good and it's bad. I mean, because you put some thoughts into your reviews, which I do appreciate. So what's it like? Let's just say I gave you a movie. Let's say I gave you a Bone Hill Road. So how do you break it down? I mean, how do you watch it? You know, not only you know, because you know, you can watch it both as a fan or you can watch it as a critic. I mean, so talk to us about that. How do you get into the mind of a review a movie? What's your process like?
Good question. Oh, well, you know, of course, I break it down. I always review the acting, the special effects, how it's directed. If it's kind of hard to explain, you know. I mean, obviously, they're not Oscar performances, but I've been in drama. I act myself, or used to. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the greatest actor in the world. There's better actors than me. You know, we all have our own process and learning. But like, you know, I try to put myself in that position a little bit as I view it. You know, that's a good question. It's just, I just break it down. I've never really thought of that. So, I mean, how it entertains me, the effects. I've always been in, you know, special effects have, you know, been interesting. So, you know, if it entertains me, I just, you know, tell how I feel about it.
How many times you usually watch it? You watch it 2 or 3 times before you do your review, or just once, or?
Usually, like when I do a Wild Eye reviews, which I got to get back into, I try to do it while it's fresh in my mind. I'll watch it and then just do the review right after while it's still fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm. What's your criteria for a movie being good versus being bad? I mean, you can watch a movie, it can be a bad movie, but you know, like it's one thing I noticed. Like you're a very you know, you're very fair. I mean, you know, I've seen people who have, you know, they've taken out pitchforks and you know, and you know, fire when it comes down to Wild Eye movies. And no, I'm not talking about me, so leave me alone. Yeah, but there's been, you know, or other movies, you know, they'll take a pitchfork and they'll criticize it, like Halloween Kills absolutely got roasted, right? So how do you, you know, not fall into that trap? I mean, is there any criteria that you use, like a grading scale, or you know, do you like watching independent movies more than you like watching blockbusters?
I mean, I enjoy either or. I mean, independent ones, like as an actor in TV productions, I've put stuff together in class and I know the effort that goes into it. And it's like, hey, these people at least are getting their movies out. What have you done? You know, I mean, at least they have something to show, for
Now,
one.
I will say this. I will say this. I've heard that argument given before too. I've have. In
Mhm.
fact, I think everybody in our chat has probably heard that argument before. But that does not excuse people for getting off the hook. You know,
But I
yeah,
mean,
they made a movie, but okay, seriously. I mean, you know, I mean,
but
would you?
also you gotta, at least it may not be $1 million budget, but if you're putting effort into it, at least
Right.
attempting
There
to
you
do a
go.
good job, put all that you have to put into it. I mean, if you're just like taking a cheap little toilet paper for or something, you know, like so cheap that there's
Like
nothing
toilet
to
paper, like on Ouija Mummy.
it. Oh, and you don't say
Uh-huh,
anything about
uh-huh.
yeah.
See, you and I were thinking of the same movie. I knew as soon as I heard that toilet paper going, like, oh, you think of Wheezy Mummy. And you're right.
Yeah, okay, you get what I mean then. I mean, at least put some effort into it. And like you want people to care about it too, and at least try to put some effort into it. I mean, you don't want to just throw something together just to do it. So
So as a critic, when you watch it, or do you ever find yourself, when you filming your review, do you ever find yourself like holding back? Like because you're afraid to either say something or do you find yourself just saying, you know what, screw it, this is my opinion.
I mean, so far I pretty much just flat out said like I will have to go back and watch a couple of them, but like at one point I trashed the Ouija shark at one point. Totally trashed it. I don't know if you remember that review or not. I was like, yeah, I can't get into this. It's just, but Apex Predators was worse. I'm sorry. I'll flat out say it. That was one of the worst. There's no sharks. It's just,
I watched a movie once that had no scarecrow in it.
yeah.
Oh, and Werewolf Island had no werewolf.
I heard that. I haven't watched that one yet, but I heard there's no werewolf.
There's no werewolf in it.
So,
So what kind of movies do you like to watch? I mean, at the theater, have you been back to the theater since the pandemic hit?
I
And
haven't.
has the
Well,
pandemic helped your creativity? Do you think you've become a more of a effective creator since the pandemic hit?
I've been to a drive-in, but I haven't been to a theater. So
Okay.
I saw it's been a while, but Venom Let There Be Carnage and Halloween Kills I saw at the drive-in. That was the
Mhm.
last I guess sort of outing to the movies. I have some friends who go every weekend. I haven't been in a while because working it was kind of hard to go with them. But they go up to the drive-in movies, so that's where I've been. But as for a movie theater, I haven't been to the movie theater just yet.
What
I do want to see the new Scream. I should go see it before it's not there anymore. But
um what do you think of the term fan service? Have you heard that term in today's movies?
what was it?
Fan service?
Fan service?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard that.
It's a term that I guess they came up with where our studios and movie, if because they have the money, more likely or not. But what they'll try to do is they'll try to give the fans, they'll read what the fans are saying, and then they'll try to give that to the fans in the movie in some small way. So basically, what they're doing is they're basically catering to a certain fan base. Do you feel like do you think that's a good habit to get into, or you think that if studios aren't careful, they could hijack a movie and alienate a lot of their audience? Because if you're only catering to this amount of fans because they're yelling the loudest, you're going to miss all the rest of the fans because you just will.
Yeah, if you focus on a certain amount of group and just want to cater to them, I mean, you might have a creative idea that's may not suit them, but a whole wide variety of other people. So that might not be the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Um, so where do you want to go with your channel now? Where do you want to go with the show? Where do you see it? I do see House of Horrors is gaining traction. What's some of the things that you learned about it, and what are like what's four things you would change about it? You want to change about it, or do you want to take your show?
Well, I'm hoping, my goal is to make it, a bigger podcast, of course, and try to get it more well known and get some bigger guests, accommodate more guests, possibly do some like, not Indiegogos.
Like Patreon?
Thank you. Big word. Yeah. Patreon. Something like that, Miss Boomstick, she does have it on Spotify. There is an ad, and so far we're up. I think I don't know. I'll have to double check, but I think we're up 11 cents for listening to ads.
Oh, okay.
But hey, I mean, people are listening to it on Spotify now and everything. And we were thinking about there's different. You can get like subscriptions on Spotify. So if it does get bigger on Spotify, we were thinking for the month. We don't have exactly planned out. Kind of like how on my contest, I said, hey, you can either come on the show, ask your question, or stay on the full show. Maybe we'll have a certain tier for like once a month. You can come on, either ask your question, might do a higher tier, where you can stay on. We haven't really worked it out yet. But if anybody has any ideas what they would want from us, maybe do like exclusive shows and everything. But I don't really want to take away, you can get paid and, invite guests. I do want to share, the experiences of guests coming on without having to pay for it. But I do want some sort of perk.
That one of the things. Have you run across that where you've approached the guests to come on a show and they've asked you to that they want to get paid to come on?
There was actually only one. I'm not going to name who, but because I don't want to talk bad about him because he's a cool guy. So yeah, because he just figures that he's got his own podcast and he gets asked a lot of the same stuff, and yeah.
Oh, right. I can understand that. John's mentioning fan service can be done really well, like Spider-Man No Way Home, Ghostbusters, or really poorly. Let's see. Casey says those are good. Yep, fan service. Yep. Yeah, I feel I was hearing about that and I was looking into it, and I just feel like it's if it's done correctly and within very, very tight limit, yeah, it's cool to acknowledge like a legacy character or an incident that happened in a previous movie. It's perfectly fine. I think it's great. But when the fans are sitting there before the movie and they're telling you, well, you need to get this and this needs to happen and this needs to happen, and it's like, okay, that's like, and then, it's like a very small vocal group. It just, to me, it feels like sometimes you could hijack a movie and you run the risk of alienating a bigger audience,
Yeah.
a lot of audience, they may not get the reference, they might not get the idea or the insight, and they're sitting on the outside looking in. There's two guys in the back of the theater going like, oh yeah, and there's like 100 other people going like, okay, so are we supposed to know what that means? What does that mean?
Right.
So it's a trick. It's a slope. It's a tricky slope. All right, my friend. I think I'll have I'm going to turn it over to the chat. I know Casey said he had questions, so I'm going to let you guys come out here and ask Stephen any questions that you want. Any questions that you want.
Anything at all.
Are you gonna who are some of the guests you're gonna try to? Are you aiming for anybody is there any guests you're trying to get on your show? Tell me your 5 Grail guests. If you could interview 5 people, anybody, who would you want to interview?
Let's see.
Anybody.
Not just in the horror genre, anything.
No, any guests you could get on the show. If you could get 5 guests on the show, which 5 would you like to interview?
Oh gosh. Well, shoot, anyone, of course, from the Marvel movies, big Marvel fan. So, that would just be awesome.
That's too big. We want to hear 5. I want to hear 5 individual names of the people you love to talk to.
All right. Well, we'll do a couple from Marvel. Let's say Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
Who else would be cool from the Marvel? I mean, Robert Downey Jr., he's in everything. Who wouldn't want to talk to, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey would be fun.
Carrey? Yeah, that'd be a good interview.
Let's see. Wow. Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar, since a Buffy fan. No.
Okay. That would be. I'd love to see you have a crack at that, because I'd love to see the questions she'd come up with.
So, what sucks? He ended up canceling, and I don't think I went. But Freddie Prinze Jr. was going to be at Spooky Empire, and I was thinking, his wife has been to the Star Wars because she's done some Star Wars voices too, apparently. And she was at Star Wars Days and stuff like a few years ago or before the pandemic. Which sucks. I was like, Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Orlando. How did I miss that? But I would maybe try to get a duo interview, That would have been cool. Um, so, what was that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Casey is asking you a question. You had a second a channel dedicated to all things Wild Eye, and Casey wants to know, are you ever going to bring it back?
I mean, I might do something on there, but I figure not too many people, were subscribing to that one. It's kind of a lesser known, so I figure I just put it on my channel and just continue Wild Eye on my channel and with the other stuff too, and just build up traction on one instead of between the two. So, but I mean, I guess I could spread that around too, but I think it's better to focus on one channel probably.
Yeah, I find it to be one channel seems to be more than enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, how about this? Do you prefer what's your favorite season of Buffy?
Let's see. Season 2. Well, I'll rate them. 1, 2, 4, 5, 3, 6, 7.
I actually, God, I actually have four seasons.
Okay.
I have 4 seasons of Buffy. I have the complete Angel series.
Angel was good. I used to. A lot of people used to like the way
Buffy.
Yeah, the way Angel ended with the fight with Wolfram Hart, where he said, "Let's get to work." Remember? Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen it. Oh well, but it's been years, people. Come on, you either liked it or didn't. Some people didn't like the ending, like how it just ended. But I was lucky enough. I actually got to ask Joss Whedon about it. He surprised us in LA at a Booster Bash, which they're not around anymore, and which sucks. I was at one point, I was going to write a Buffy fandom book at one point, and I wanted people to send in like stuff, artwork, anything dealing with Buffy that they might have had or want to be in the book. And I was interviewing. So yeah, actually I have interviewed people. It just never came to be now that I think of it. So I actually didn't really start with the House of Horrors podcast. I had a tape recorder and I interviewed Joss Whedon. And I can't remember what the question was, but it was funny because the first question I had asked him, he's like, "Ooh, that's a good one. I don't want to waste your tape. I'll go back to that." So I actually stumped Joss Whedon, and he just, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Stephen. I'll let you go here in a couple of minutes.
Oh, it's fine. I got nothing to do.
Okay. How would you handle an interview with Joss Whedon today? What would you ask him today?
Well, it might be tough. I mean, I know some stuff like people have talked bad about him, so I mean, I don't want to like diss him or say anything like that. I don't know how much is true.
Why you would shy around that?
Well, I might ask him. I might ask him. I mean, whether he'll answer it or not is completely up to him. I mean, I could be like,
Oh yeah, I mean, he might not choose to answer it, but would you be afraid to pull the trigger and ask him hard questions like that?
I mean, I might ask him about the allegations on the set, or I mean, because he seemed like a really cool guy, easy to talk to. Like, I guess working with might be different, but I guess I could just ask.
The curtain's been raised, though. The curtain's been raised on him, and now he's really sort of earned that reputation. It looks like, and would you address it to him? I mean, yeah, he might not answer it. But would you ask him?
I could just, ask him about, people have had allegations working with you. And I mean, I understand as a person, people have good days and bad days. But I mean, do you think that there's any truth to them? I mean, how do you work with actors that might not comply to your vision or, something along those lines? I think maybe see.
It's a little different when you're on the other side of the fence, isn't it? You're not a fan anymore. I mean, you like I said before, you're sort of a little bit like whether this is correct or not. I mean, at least to me anyway. But you are a bit of a journalist when you interview people. You're asking them, what you're doing. You are interviewing them, so you're their inner side. So I mean, would there be any question you would be afraid to ask him? It's hard. I'm only asking because I mean I've been in a situation where I went to ask a director a question,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent it to a real journalist, someone who really does do this. And
Mm-hmm.
my question, I said, "Do you think I should ask this question?" And he goes, "I would not ask that question if I was you. I would not do that." But of course, right away I did
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to know. Because the curiosity is really what the reason why we do our shows, right?
Right. So yeah, I
Uh,
mean, just flat out ask him, I guess. But what I was gonna say though, it's what was it? He had set up an interview with Buffy magazine later, but he had actually took about 5 minutes with me, and I'd asked him about Angel. That was one of the questions, the ending of it. Like some people liked it, some people didn't. Did you intend to end it that way? What was the deal with that? And he said that he knew he wanted to end it with a fight, that um, they would keep on fighting, and that was like the theme of the show, that you don't give up and you just fight to the end. And the way he explained, he had some other terms, I don't even really remember exactly all he said, but the way he explained it at the time, I was like, yeah, that I look at it completely differently. I'm like, that's an awesome ending.
John's mentioning here, I'll read this off here. Says he saved a question like that for last or be a short interview. Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be.
that would be the last question. Yeah, any questions that might be
It could
anyhow.
be a short. It could be a short interview. It could be. I mean, that's something you run the risk on. Especially. I mean, I don't like being. I mean, have any guest asked you to preset questions? Have they ever asked you to have a preset list of questions, or do you and Boom get together and talk about what questions you're going to ask?
I ask her, what questions she may have, and I'll add on to those questions. Sometimes it might just be brought up in conversation. I mean, it might not even be something that's on our notes. We'll just be talking and it might veer off to one subject, and then we'll just elaborate on that and continue on. And we're all over the place. You know how we are.
Yeah.
We
Well,
ask questions, we goof around, we go back to asking questions. It's just all thrown together. Just a good time.
Well, I want to thank you for coming out and doing this for me, Stephen. I really do appreciate it. I'd like to thank you to the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. You guys have been really good tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Tomorrow,
I didn't read
yeah,
all the comments. I'm sorry, but thank you though.
yeah, I'll have this. I'll have this up right away. Um, I'll have this up right away. In fact, I better do that. Make sure I do that now so I can. I always like to see the numbers right off the bat. I'm a numbers freak.
I'm kind of curious.
That's from my own days in music, so I always want to know how the numbers do. Hi, Tiffany.
Was it like a wiki make you popular?
It's okay. It's okay. You can come back tomorrow, Tiffany. I'll be back here doing the same thing tomorrow. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming out and hanging out. Like I said, Stephen, and your show is on Saturday from 7 p.m. Eastern time to 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, normally yes, but sometimes I do some different times to
Oh.
accommodate guests. So this Saturday, it's actually going to be two shows, one at 3 p.m. and one at 5 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes if they ask to do something earlier, whenever they're free, I'll take that. I mean, I prefer Saturday nights, but if they're free at another time, I'm not going to turn them down.
Right.
So yeah.
Who are your guests on this Saturday?
At 3 p.m. is Jenna Canal from Terrifier, Bye Bye Man, and WandaVision. Yeah, she's done some other stuff too. And I don't know how much we'll be able to talk about, because, keeping stuff under wraps. But I know she was in, I think Louisiana. She was filming a couple months ago or a month ago, and that's why we set it up for February, because she was busy shooting. So we may or may not talk about that. I don't know. We'll see.
If it's not on our movie database page, you can't talk about it.
That's true. Yeah. If it's not on their database.
Yeah, if I don't see it on there, I ain't talking about it.
Exactly. And then
so
Mel.
Who's on 5?
Mel Heflin. She's done a bunch of Wild Eye movies, Return to Splatter Farm, Mark Polonia film, Bride of the Werewolf. Yeah. So you'll recognize her. She's done a bunch of Polonia films. So. she's one of the Polonia pals. She's like one of the ones I haven't interviewed.
Okay, you know what? When are you getting him to? Okay, since you got aced out by Karen Ocean Chicks Film, since you got aced out, your next challenge, should you accept it, is to land an interview with Mark Polonia.
I'm working on it. He's busy like nonstop, rarely on social media, but
you got to get another interview with Todd Cheetah. You had one with him, but he had bad tech and you couldn't even see him, so you have to go back and get that interview.
Yeah, I got to go back for sheets.
Yeah.
But Mark, he just said, when's a good time? And I said, anytime that you're free. So I'm just waiting to hear back. But soon, hopefully, I'll announce him, of course, the minute that we find out for sure. But as you know, he does all his own editing and all that. And so, I mean, everybody says he works nonstop. So,
he does, he works on his own effects out here and everything.
Everything. He acts, writes, and who knows if he's writing more movies too. And so that's what everybody says about him. Everybody I've, Jeff and all them, Tim, Danielle, anyone in the Polonia group, they say that man's like the hardest worker, like nonstop. So
so tomorrow night we will have Miss Sandy Johnson will be here with us. She played Judith Myers in Halloween '78, and we will be talking to her about her career and she's now getting back in the game. She's got some new movies coming out herself, so we'll talk to her about getting back into acting and how she's enjoying it. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 8:00 for that. So we do hope that you guys all will come out and support that interview as well. I want to thank again Stephen for coming out and hanging out with us. And thank you so much. And see you tomorrow night at 8:00.
All right. Thanks again.
Feel free to sub us out. I'll put all of Stephen's contact information in the description box. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to give me a thumbs up, or better yet, give me a sub. All right. We'll talk at you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Have a good night.
Hang out right where you're at.
All right.